I'm pretty neutral on the DXY at the moment, but I have been quite bullish on the dollar. So ADUSD, NZUSD looking to short those. Dollar CAD looking for some longs on dollar CAD. Other markets, Euro USD, Pound USD, have been bearish on them as well, although I'm not really looking to do anything with them in my personal trading, but I definitely am looking for some more downside on them. And I've been talking quite a lot about DXY. Oh, seeing some movement there. Let me get out a couple of screens there. Try and do what Nick does. Yeah, I mean, dollar has been quite bullish. A lot of people saying dollar has been moving to the upside for quite a while now, so it's time to see some retracement. This is Euro USD. Let me get gold up and running as well. So yeah, DXY has been very, very bullish for quite a while. So looking for possibly maybe a top to form and possibly a lower high to come into play and see some downside. What's up, people? I'm said hello to people. What's up, people? Welcome to the stream. Hope everyone is doing well. What's up, Modern Gameplay? Hope you're doing good. Andy Boy, what is up? How does it feel to participate in the house trading competition? Not too sure what that is. What's up, Loyander? Probably saying that completely wrong. Welcome to the stream. Good evening, Frederick. What is up? So yeah, we do have some news that's just come out for dollar, and we are seeing gold take a drop. We are seeing Euro USD take a drop as well. So again, in terms of the grand scheme of things, dollar has been on the up, so we're going to need to see a big push for that to kind of change things. But it looks like dollar is still on the up off the back of the news, with Euro USD pushing down and DXY pushing down as well. I like to wait for candle closures when news happens. I don't like to kind of get sucked in too much to what price is doing as soon as the news happens. I want to wait for candle closures, preferably the hourly candle closure, because that kind of gives the news a good hour to breathe. So sometimes you do see price kind of push down like the first kind of 5-10 minutes, and then possibly reverse in the opposite direction, normally with the bigger news announcements with like FOMC and sometimes NFP as well, but although NFP kind of does it the kind of the first minute or two. But I like to give it a good hour or so before I look into what's kind of the aftermath of the news. Right now, we are seeing some strong bearish pressure here with Euro USD gold. If I take a look at some other dollar pairs, dollar CAD pushing to the upside, although it's retraced a little bit there. What else? NZUSD, that's pushing down as well. I would imagine ADUSD is doing something similar. Yeah, pushing to the downside too. So dollar is reacting quite bullish at the moment. And again, if I take a look at from a technical perspective, things are being quite bearish for the dollar pairs. Gold, ADUSD heading down, NZUSD heading down, dollar CAD, that has been heading up after clearing the highs there. Gold's been heading down as well, successive lower highs, which we were speaking about on Monday. So we've been seeing a lot of downside here for the dollar pairs, aka dollar being stronger. So we haven't seen too much change, and I'm kind of looking to see what the DXY will do in terms of the daily candle today, because it's very, very important. DXY has come back into a very big level of support here on the left. We did see a big spike through that yesterday. As we can see, here's the support and resistance, big wick through, and the markets pull back underneath that. So I think today's candle is going to be of a lot of importance, because are we going to close back above this level and possibly fill the wick? If that's the case, I do think there is still room to the upside for the DXY, possibly back to some of these areas. We have been placing major swing highs, one over there, second over there, third over there. Possibly could place another one coming back into the consolidation there on the left if we do break above.
Want to stay up to date with all the latest trading information? In the description below, you'll find the link to join our free Discord. The Discord gives you instant access to lots of helpful material like free trading courses, chart analysis, updates about what's happening in the A1 community, as well as discount codes for our other products and services. The best part, all of this and more is 100% free. So go down in the description below this video and and check it out for yourself. If you're interested in upgrading to the full VIP Discord featuring our team of expert trader signals, you can use the live chat link in the description to get connected with one of our team members in seconds. So don't wait, go check out the free Discord today.
If we see a repeat of yesterday's candle, so this big spike here, we see a repeat of that again today, we still got about 10 hours left before the daily candle closes. But if you see a repeat of that and the market come back underneath the level, another big wick, so we see two big wicks, kind of like a tweezer top, could be seeing the start of a lower high forming and possibly a decline in price for the DXY, maybe back to this big old level here around 101. So DXY for me in the very pivotal area, and I'm kind of waiting for the daily candle to settle before I make any final judgments to my bias. So for me, I'm a bit neutral now until that daily candle does close, which is in about 10 hours or so. Yeah, at the moment, DXY is still holding above 102, so could be looking at 103 unless something major happens. The news hasn't really caused too much ruckus at the moment. DXY pushing to the upside, still looking strong, and from an intraday perspective, we've been seeing a lot of higher lows successively, so could be seeing that continue back to the highs here on the left from an intraday perspective until 102.421 as well. So yeah, dollar still looking strong. Is anybody looking to trade dollar? Any dollar pairs, I should say. How important is this news, Miko? I mean, I don't look at it too much. I'm more focused on the NFP on Friday, so in a couple of days' time. So that's kind of where my attention is news based. This one, I'm not really looking at it in too much detail. I mean, the market's not really doing too much right now. We are a little bit bullish, yes, but in the grand scheme of things, NFP is probably going to cause a bit more damage on Friday. So that's kind of where my attention is in terms of news. But again, I'm a very technical trader, so I'm purely focused on technicals in terms of my direction and looking at structure, highs, lows, and which levels are breaking, which levels are holding. So that's how I dictate my bias. And at the moment, from a technical perspective, we're resting quite nicely above 102. And if you see a solid daily candle close above this level, I'm looking at 102.800 as the next target for me for DXY, which could translate to pound USD more downside, which is kind of what we're seeing now. Euro USD more downside, dollar CAD more upside, AUD USD more downside for that one as well. So yeah, at the moment DXY is still pretty strong. Okay, so New Zealand yen, that one has had quite a big tumble over the past couple of days, big move to the downside. You're looking to short NZJPY, does make sense. I'm not the big fan of the price action here with NZJPY. It's kind of a little bit sluggish, a little bit like consolidation. I'm kind of looking at it from this perspective of equal highs, more or less equal lows down here. This looks to me like a big fake out of the level. Now the market is back within that range. So I'm kind of ignoring NZJPY at the moment just because I'm not really seeing much trend to it. The higher time frames for me are still pretty bullish. As we can see, the weekly, the daily is kind of slowing down a little bit. But higher time frames I do favor upside. 4H and lower, I'm kind of looking at consolidation. So I'm not really too interested personally. Maybe from an intraday perspective, we've had a nice sell-off here. So possibly could be some pullbacks to retest that area for another sell-off. But it's just kind of within the range. So I'm not the biggest fan of it. So personally for me, yeah, I'll be staying away from NZJPY just because it's a bit more sideways than the trend. And for me, trading markets is kind of where I specialize in. Miko, how many swing traders should take in 1 week? There's kind of no right or wrong answer to that. A swing trader could take one, it could take three, could take none. There's no right or wrong answer to that. The right answer is just take the setups that meet your criteria, and that's how many trades you should take, whether that's 3, 0, 1 or 2. That's how many trades you should take. I average about 1 or 2 a week, but sometimes it could be a little bit more. Sometimes I might not take any. So yeah, the correct number is the trades that present themselves.
The thing that I'm paying attention to this week, and the thing that's important this week, I think, is of course non-farm payroll. We've seen that the central banks have actually gone ahead, and I'm talking about across the board. We've seen central banks raising rates and now coming to a sort of like, hey, let's not raise rates. Let's go ahead and keep the rates unchanged. It happened for the first time with the Aussie rate decision a couple of nights ago, where they kept the rates unchanged. They were going to raise it 25 basis points, but they held up and they said, nope, no, unchanged. Let's go ahead and keep it unchanged for right now. And we saw a downside move in the Aussie dollar. Now, the same thing I believe is going to happen on the dollar. The dollar has seen some upside rally, but let's go ahead and take a look at the dollar right here. This is the US dollar traded against the Canadian. And so we've got the market trading right here at this resistance again at 133. Remember, a couple of, in fact, a whole bunch of weekly, let's see here. We've got, a whole bunch of monthly sessions. We had it since October 22nd. So since October 22nd, we're talking about 2022, we had the market sitting inside this range. And so this level of support was pretty significant. The fact that the market has broken through here and now retesting this level, and I call it retesting because we haven't really broken above yet. I mean, it's trading above, but we haven't seen a close above there. So I think what's going to be ideal this week is to figure out whether or not the market's going to break through this level. Now, we did mention that if the central bank, which means in this case now with the Feds, if the Feds decide to keep the rates unchanged in the next meeting, which is going to happen on the 20th of September, then could we see a downside move? Could the dollar be falling? Well, I guess it could follow what the Aussie did a couple of evenings ago. But this is the thing. I always look at the technicals. Now, we've got up until the 20th of September this year before the next meeting comes. That means that there's still enough time for price to go ahead and continue to trade above, maybe find a bit of resistance here. Then, on the 20th of September, start seeing a downside move as price goes back to retest this level, but only short term as it starts going back up north. Now, let's go ahead and take a look at the Aussie, and I'm going to go to the Aussie CAD right here, and we're going to take a look at how the Aussie moved this week. Look over here. So, the Aussie came off a very strong bullish move a few days ago, and then when the rate decision came in, we saw weakness out of the Aussie, and the market moved back down south here. We've got to this level right here, and the market's bouncing off this level. So the question here is, if you look at the bigger picture, is that downside move just a temporary move, and that the Aussie is going to strengthen and eventually break out of this little wedge that we're seeing right here? It's actually falling wedge that we're seeing here. And then if it does, we could see the market going all the way up here to 0.9544. So I always go ahead and say, fundamentals are important. Yes, it is. But based on what I understand and what I know about the market, the technicals rule. The technicals really tell me exactly what the market wants to do. Even though we might have some intraday movement, we might see the market intraday go back and forth between support and resistance. But ultimately, it is going to go to a destination. And it's these patterns that form in the market that really give us that sort of idea what the markets are trying to tell us. We just got to read between the lines, so to speak. And so my focus this week is certainly going to be on the non-farm payrolls. We've got data coming out, not just non-farm. We had at 8:15 here. We had ADP numbers that came out. The numbers showed much better than expected, and that would give a bullish rally to the dollar. They were expecting 191K, came out at 324. Keeping in mind that that number still is lower than what they had previously. So we've got now some more data coming out, and I'm not trying to disregard the fact that we've got some UK rate decision coming out tomorrow, and they're also planning on to raise the rate 25 basis point. We'll see what happens tomorrow, and that's going to be at 7 o'clock. And I believe I'm in on tomorrow. I'm in tomorrow as well on the session, so it will be interesting to see how the pound reacts and how we're going to be able to trade that. Now, here in the Friday, we have non-farm payroll coming out, and we also have the Canadian jobs coming out as well. So there's definitely going to be two announcements coming out at the same time. So when you look at when you go back to the Aussie, the US dollar CAD, and you look at the US dollar CAD, this is either going to be a push above or it's going to be a confirmation that this resistance is going to hold, which means that if the market goes ahead and breaks above and then breaks back below right here, then we're probably heading back to the bottom of the range here at 131.46. Again, technicals rule, but fundamentals certainly help us to get to those destinations, right? And so we're going to wait and see how this reacts tomorrow, and I'll go ahead and trade accordingly. Now, traders, the one thing that a lot of the students that follow me, a lot of my followings, know that I trade intraday moves and I also trade long term, which means I do trade swing trades, but also trade intraday. The reason why I do intraday trading, which uses a cost averaging trade approach, is because we always want to go ahead and build our trading account up. All right, we want to make sure that we have something that we're using that's constantly going to be building our account on a regular basis, because if we don't have something what we call a bread and butter trade setup or a bread and butter strategy, then what happens is we're going to get frustrated with swing trading. Because if you look at the markets and you try and find swing trades, you'll find that 70% of the time the markets aren't really trending, they're consolidating. And so therefore, 70% of the time, what else are you going to do with your time other than go ahead and look for bread and butter trades so that we can constantly build up our trading account? So that's what I focus on. I focus on bread and butter trades. And right now, the US dollar CAD is really set up for bread and butter trades. It's not really set up for a trend-based strategy. So if we do break above this 133 and we see that all evidence is leading, all right, to Rome. I'm just kidding. But if we see all evidence are leading towards a more of a trendy move back up here to 138 and change, then yes, we can start looking to buy on dips towards that 138 area. And we can start focusing more on a trend-based strategy in one direction, which means that our bias is going to be bullish and we're going to look for only buys moving towards 138. But if the market comes back down and it goes ahead and confirms that this is resistance here by closing out with some sort of bearish candle below the 133 level, then we know that we're not trending, that we're really range bound until we break out of 131.46. So which means we'll go into that bread and butter mentality or bread and butter strategy, and we'll go ahead and continue to follow these short-term in and out trades while the market's inside this range. And this applies to any currency pair. So looking at the calendar this week, certainly jobs is important for the US and Canada coming out on Friday, but then let's take a step back and now look at Thursday. Thursday, we do have the UK rate decision. They're looking to raise the rates 25 basis points. Now, let's go ahead and face it. If they raise the rates 25 basis points, it's going to push the pound a little stronger. But if they don't, if they hold off, we're going to have the same sort of reaction to the market as the Aussie did a couple of evenings ago, which means we could see a sell-off on the pound. The question here is, does the technicals confirm that? Well, we can jump in quickly before I end the session. We can go ahead and jump into a couple of pairs like the pound. Here we go, pound Aussie. And we can see the pound Aussie is setting up in this rising wedge. Listen, traders, when you see this pattern right here, you're anticipating resistance at some point to hold and price to go ahead and fall back down south. And could it be that it's enough to break through this wedge and start seeing a downward trend taking place? Now, that's just the pound Aussie. Look at the pound CAD. Pound CAD is also in a wedge, and it's right here at the support level. So if the market breaks through those lows, breaks through the upward trend line, we're into a downward trend back down to support down here. Again, something's indicating that the market may be indicating, or the technicals may be indicating that tomorrow's announcement may not be a rate hike, but possibly an unchanged rate, keeping the pound bearish for the day. Let's go take a look at the pound JPY. And there we go. Pound JPY is already started to move back into this previous channel. We had a channel right here. And as you can see right here, market's moving back inside, which means that we could see a downside trend. Now, if I actually go to one of my systems that I'm trading at the moment right now, and I go to the pound JPY right here, I've already said set up to buy above 183.77 and sell below 182.53, which means, traders, if we have a setup that's going to be bearish below 182.52 right here, then I'm going to trade it. And at the moment right now, if I go to my 15-minute time frame, I'm already starting to see that the 15-minute time frame is heading south. The 1 hour time frame has not confirmed yet. But the one thing that I must admit right here that's real interesting is that we do have a I call it missed targets. These are pivot points that price has not tested. And that price is around about 180. So the market is, in my opinion, looking for a reason to want to go back down to retest that level at 180. So pound, again, is indicating, even though we looked at the daily time frame, it's indicating that 180 could be a test, and that could be coming back down to the support down here, which means if we trade 182.52 bearish, meaning that below 182.52 we're going to go sell on all rallies. As long as we stay below that, we should be heading down to about 180 on the pound JPY. Traders, once again, a lot of evidence. And I don't know if you've been watching the series called Suits. It's about these lawyers and how they strategize and how they look for and suddenly I'm talking about looking for evidence, having enough evidence in the market to make decisions, and that's pretty much what it comes down to, right? We want enough evidence in the market to be able to prove our case. There we go. The lawyer's coming out of me. Prove your case so that you can take this to court and go ahead and file a motion. Oh, hold on a second. Am I speaking lawyer talk here? All right. Bottom line is, traders, if I go to the pound and New Zealand dollar, I'm seeing the same thing. I'm seeing these rising wedges forming, and therefore, again, expecting a pound dip tomorrow. Now, traders, I could be completely wrong, and the market could go ahead and rally, and that's okay, because then we'll look at the alternative. But keep in mind that the focus of this week is not just on US dollar, but of course on things like this where we're having rate, or at least central banks deciding on rates, and they are forming some sort of pattern on the market in the technicals that are giving us a little bit of evidence and proving that we may be setting up for a complete reversal and possibly a downside move, specifically on pound crosses across the board.
Don't forget to check out the links in the description if you want our broker recommendation, access to our free Discord, free EDGEFINDER, or want to chat with us on Telegram. Remember, you can watch us live in the markets every morning starting at 9:30 a.m. Eastern Time, and we have lots more free trading tools and content available on our website, a1trading.com. Thanks for watching.